I'm going to stay home, right? I'm going to stay away from that craziness and madness. But you imagine in that day and age, they couldn't watch Jesus, right, on live stream. They couldn't, watch a televised message. So they had to see him in person. And so he's been preaching powerfully. He's been healing. And so people are packed shoulder to shoulder, wall to wall, trying to hear this guy. And so we're introduced to a very interesting group of people. We're introduced to a group of men. The Bible tells us there were 4 of them who had a friend who was paralyzed. And you need to understand that in the first century, there was no Israelis with Disability Act. There were no handicap ramps. There were no special accommodations for people with special needs. As a matter of fact, it's generally viewed as you were a blight on society and there was something wrong with you or your parents if you were injured or if you were sick. And so these people were outcasts in society, generally left to beg. So there was a paralyzed man who was in that condition, but he had 4 friends who loved him so much that when they heard that Jesus was in town, all they needed to do was to try to get their friend to Jesus. So they load him up on a stretcher, they pick up his mat, they carry him towards the house of probably Simon Peter's mother. That's probably the house that they were in, mother-in-law, and they couldn't get in the door. There were crowds, it was thick, there was nothing they could do. And then, we don't know which one of the 4, but one of them we know is a redneck, right? Because a redneck always says these words, "Hey y'all, watch this," right? And so they carry him up the steps. He's like, "We can dig through this floor. We can get this guy in front of Jesus." And can you imagine? I mean, this was like everybody sitting there listening to Jesus teach. This would be like you guys listening to me preach, and all of a sudden you hear metal, and you hear somebody running around on the roof, right? And all of a sudden light begins to appear. You would all say, "What is going on?" It's exactly what was happening in this moment. And so these friends lower this man in front of Jesus. And then there is a remarkable phrase that Jesus says. When he saw their faith. When he saw their faith. So the first thing that we discover in the story, our first point, is that the friends of this paralytic man discover that Jesus is moved by faith in action. You see, the faith of these men was simple. We don't know anything about it. That's one of the things that Mark gives us, man. He tells it concisely. He leaves it as it is. We don't know anything other than they knew Jesus could do something for their friend. So what's remarkable to me is, number 1, that their faith was persistent. Now think about us today. There's some really shallow theology that floats around Christian circles and in our churches that says, God closed that door. It's easy for us to say, but is it biblical? Because if you think about it, most of the time in Scripture, the path that God has his people walk is not the path of least resistance. It's the path of most. And so when you are following in the steps of faith, you're often going to meet obstacles. And you think about these guys who run into this obstacle, right? It's a crowd. We can't get our friends to Jesus. I would have been like, buddy, sorry, we tried. All right, we'll talk to you later. I mean, really, that's my personality. But people who are persistent, who are like, we're going to find a way, I believe that Jesus honors that. Not only were they persistent, they were also creative. Thinking literally outside the box, right? Of the homes of that era. And doing whatever it took to find a way, because they just knew they needed an audience with Jesus. Their buddy's life hinged on it. His future, everything. This might be the only time Jesus is in town. This might be our only opportunity. So we're going to make the most of it. What if we live with that kind of urgency? I'm not the most creative guy. I don't think out of the box a lot. But I'm inspired by people who do. And I want you to hear a little story that was told to us by David Platt, who's the president of our International Mission Board. He was here with us at Station Hill last fall to do a pastor and a missions pastor intensive training. And he told the story about one of our missionaries in Eastern Europe. And so he finally got some Bibles in the language of the people group he was working with. And so there was a man who came around quite frequently that he had connected with, and he knew that this guy didn't really seem interested in the gospel. He was kind of always hanging around, kind of more for what he could get from the guy than for the message. But as he's distributing Bibles, he finds this guy in line to get one. And so he hesitates for a moment because he doesn't know how this guy is really going to use this Bible, but he decides to go ahead and give it to him anyway. But as he does, something in the spirit just kind of checks a little bit, and he says, "Hey, buddy, I need you to make me a promise. Before you do anything anything else with that Bible, I need you to promise me that you're going to read it. So the guy kind of reluctantly agrees, and he goes off. Well, about 3 weeks later, that same man circles back to the missionary and said, hey, I got a confession to make. He said, you know that Bible you gave me? He said, yeah, did you read it? He said, well, I did. He said, but I also smoke cigarettes. And I like to roll my own cigarettes. And so when I saw you passing out Bibles, I saw they were made of high quality paper. And so I thought, hey, there's a chance for me to get some paper for free, right, to roll my cigarettes. So he said, but I wanted to be honest. I wanted to be, true to your word that I made to you. So I decided that I would read every page before I tore it out and smoked it. And so he said, I smoked my way through the Gospel of Matthew. I smoked my way through the Gospel of Mark. I smoked my way through Luke. But then when I got to John, I got through the first page, I smoked it, and my eyes fell on this verse. I don't know if you've ever heard of it before. Chapter 3, verse 16. For God so loved the world. And I realized he was talking about me. And so can I have a Bible that has all the pages in it so that you can tell me the rest of the story so that we can go back over this? But what a remarkable story, right? Sometimes we have to take a risk. Sometimes we have to get creative. We have to be persistent, creative, and we have to be sacrificial. You think about these 4 friends. You think about the fact that they could have been doing something else on that day, but they did whatever it took. It would have been easy to get a guy physically laborious, right, to pick up him by his mat, dead weight, to carry him all that way to that house. You think about putting their reputation on the line. I mean, the scribes, who tells us we're sitting there, and so to do something as an Orthodox is dig through the roof. You think about the fact that at least one of them, there would be somebody with a conscience in that group who'd probably say, hey, we're going to pay for this, right, when we're done. I mean, on homeowners insurance, does that go down as an act of God? Like, what do you list that as, right? So one of these guys was going to have to pay the price. Somehow, there was a sacrifice involved, but these men in their faith, they were willing to do whatever it took to get their friend to Jesus. And what an example for us. Brothers and sisters, as we live sin, I think sometimes we overcomplicate it, I won't lie. What if our faith was that same simple, direct faith that these 4 men had? Hey, I've